how to create a society of climate champions. We've invited different speakers, inspiring speakers, climate leaders, innovators, and solution providers to come together and discuss how we can bring nature into education. And the world leaders are discussing the impacts of climate change at the United Nations here at New York. We are here to provide the solution. And solution through education. Because we believe that without responsible curriculum, without responsible education, we cannot build a responsible nation. And without responsible nation, we cannot have a responsible world. So I welcome you, all of you. I welcome our chief guest, Dr. Vallabhbhai Kathiria. He is the chairman of Rashtriya Kharangyan Ayog, National Cow Mission, and to protect the cow, the indigenous animal of India and indigenous animal of the planet Earth. Because cow means planet Earth. I welcome Ma'am Saraswati Devi, and Tim and Julia. They are distinguished speakers and they have achieved a lot in their life. We are going to learn a lot from them, and I am sure that since we are 15 minutes late, we need to cover up the session as soon as possible. So I request Honorable Vallabhbhai Kathiria sir, before I invite him to inaugural address, I request to honor them or a token. On this way, you can say it.
Thank you.
Amit bhai, you just up. Madam, I request Robin to please honor Tim, our great actor, producer, and first Zero Carbon movie producer of America. I request all Robin, just honor him. Yeah, but for him, put in the like
Just like that, like, yeah? Okay. That's right.
and Julia also. Yeah, she is doing today global curriculum and she is contributing a lot to the planet. So this is so I request Dr. Vallabhbhai Kathiria to just start his inaugural address.
Yes, very good morning to all. Very good morning. Namaste. Honorable Virendra Rawat ji, the guest of the dais, Madam Krupa Devi, Mr. Tim, Ms. Julia, and what should I say, all Green School concept ambassadors from all over the world, right? You are all Green School ambassadors. I am very happy to be over here with an innovative concept, the concept of green schooling, conceptualized by Sri Virendra Rawat ji. He hails from India, and I am happy, it's my pleasure that in United Nations Assembly Week, we are here to have the green school concept to be inaugurated. As he said, green school mentors, innovators, educators, builders, and whatnot, all, including children. You all are here.
Events. We actually do in-kind services for nonprofits and for young founders, so we want to help them out at no cost. We actually choose our clients based on their values, their shared values. And we often donate to causes when we can. Again, we're a startup, so most of the donations are in time and expertise. And we also amplify the messages of causes and nonprofits whenever we can through events, initiatives, and fundraisers. The approach for responsible business is this idea of the triple bottom line, if you haven't heard, which is a very common phrase, people, planet, and profit. It's not just about profit, which you often hear in the tech startup world, right? They're always looking to raise capital and become as efficient as possible. But to be successful and really create impact, you have to look at all three: people, planet, and profit. And for those that are starting businesses, it's always important to realize that it doesn't just have to be a for-profit business. Your business can have impact itself. So if you have an idea for a cause and you want to help, it doesn't have to be a nonprofit. It could be a business that gives all of its profits and it's embedded into what it does to make a difference. And then of course the very large companies out there that are not related to social good, we can still get them on board through their social responsibility. They have CSR departments that are looking for groups and things to partner with. I have to go because we have a panel here now, but you can follow my business or my charity here. I would love to connect with you and learn more about what you are doing with the Green Schools Initiatives. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm inviting young entrepreneurs, innovative women, and we design very innovative bag, especially for the girls. So, Mandy, please.
inviting me here to speak as a speaker as a young entrepreneur. And the topic he gave me is Indigenous Sustainable Entrepreneurship through Sustainable Innovation. And these are my work. I designed safety backpacks for girls, and I spoke at United Nations, Microsoft, Young Women, and my website is misslocker.com because I feel like bag is girls mini locker, so that's why I named my brand Miss Locker. And I showed the design to Martha Stewart, Joanna Coles, Westmore. They all love the design, and yeah, so sometimes you need to chase after the people you look up to. And I will show you the design right now in person. So that's the backpack I designed. It opens from the back. It zippers from the back, so when you carry it, it's safe and secure for girls to carry. And inside the lining is yellow color, which is also the color of sunshine. So when girls carry it, they feel empowered and inspired to go for their dream. And I also created a label inside called Go For Your Dream. And the press media I received are, I was invited to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and my work has been featured on CBS News, Steamboat, China Cosmopolitan, Yahoo News, InStyle, Yahoo Finance, China Daily, People's Daily, 17, Business Week, Microsoft, UN. So to talk about entrepreneurship, the activity of setting up a business for businesses, taking on financial risk in the hope of profit. So that's the definition Google gave. And for me, I feel like entrepreneurship is more toward taking risk and go for your dreams. So giving you a bad example of going dream is that 2 days ago, I was honored enough to invited by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to their goalkeepers event. It was at Lincoln Center. And they were, Bill and Melinda Gates were sitting right in front of me at the audience, and I couldn't say a word to them And I just panicked, and my friend was like, say something, say something. And I'm like, no, because I was like so scared. They are my all-time idol that I look up to when I was little, and especially Bill Gates, because Melinda Gates was backstage first presenting the award, and Bill Gates came in, and I'm like, I want to talk to Melinda Gates because her focus was on women and girls. And Bill Gates came in, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot say anything. Then there goes my opportunity, and I don't want any of you guys to repeat my route. So I hope you guys say something if you go to an event when you saw your idols, you saw the people you look up to. Just introduce yourself and don't be afraid. And to go back to my previous UN work, Microsoft work, so some people may ask, how did you get there? And my answer is through cold emailing and ask. Because some people prefer calling as well, but you can, for me, because I'm a designer, my work is more visual, so I email them, and you just email a bunch of them, and sometimes you just hit, because you have to keep being persistent, and that's how I got my invitation to Bill and Melinda's Foundation Goalkeepers event. You can also ask the people who show their invitation on social media. You can ask them how did you get your invitation? I would love to go as well. And then people are really nice, and they will tell you to send your work to this email address. Then that's how I went to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation event. So you have to chase after them, and at UN work is also like that. I went to UN through Youth Day, and one of the leaders were there speaking, and after his speech, he gave out business cards. So usually after the speech, you take the person's business card, contact info, and email address. Because when you give them your email address, they are very busy. They're not likely to send you an email. So you have to keep following up with them. And that's what I did. So I will show you how my dream came true from the start. Anybody recognize this building? United Nations building. Okay, so 2004, my parents, two people on the left, they brought me from China to New York City, and the United Nations was one of the places that I visited as a tourist with my family. And I thought to myself, one day I'm going to speak here. And years later, my dream came true, showing the safe backpack design at UN. This is the first time I spoke there, and that's the second time I spoke there as young woman, as an economic force in the Commission Women of Commission Status of CSW, Commission Status of Women in 2017. So it was a huge honor for me, and it was on UN Live TV. So what I did was, I did a vision board. I put United Nations logo on my bathroom mirror. Every time I brush my teeth, wash my face, I just keep looking at it. And subconsciously thinking, I need to go to UN somehow. So I went to Eventbrite.com searching for United Nations events. And there was a Youth Day opening. So I just registered myself. I went there, then I met the leader, introduced myself, and one day he asked me, do you want to become the speaker at the Young Entrepreneur panel at UN? I'm like, of course, I thought you never asked. So that's my ultimate goal. So if there's anyone you really look up to on Facebook, Twitter, you can just message them or message the people around them. Try to see if there's an event they're going to. You can just, chase after them. That's what I did. I was also the first designer to be featured on Michelle Obama's education campaign, and that opportunity was through network. And so I met one of the girls that is a Girls of United Nations Foundation's event, and she introduced me to the education campaign people, and they love my design, and that's how they featured me. And I graduated from Parsons for fashion design, and one day my teacher asked us to do a homework on interview a person in the industry, fashion industry, and I emailed many people, and one of the person responded back is the vice president of Chanel, and I went to their headquarters and interviewed her on merchandising. So you have to keep emailing and keep cold calling for the different opportunity and keep following up with them. And I think that's at least that's how I did it. So when you are rising maybe to your little bit of success, it's also important to give back at the same time. I'm also the volunteer translator for the Chinese Olympic team in swimming. I help the coach and the doctors and the athletes translate when they are training in Australia. So it's important to give back at the same time. So safety backpack collaboration. My goal is to help kids get to school safely around the world, and my design helps safety. I just want to help girls traveling safely to schools and back to their homes. And so if any of you guys have a school and want to collaborate or partner with me, because I have 900 bags left in China due to the high tariff between China and the USA. That's why, because it was selling on Amazon for $80 a piece, it was selling, but then it was sold out. Then the price raised because of the tariff. Then I cannot sell anymore because there wouldn't be any money left. So hopefully I can distribute the bags to schools with the factory cost price. If any of you guys have good schools that can collaborate with me. And my new vision board. So as an example to you guys, I would be, my goal would be United Nations Messenger of Peace, help more people around the world. And you need to speak your goals aloud, otherwise how can people help you to reach your goals? Because we're not psychic, we're not mind readers, so we just need to hear you out. So go for your dream, we believe in you. Thank you so much, that's my
Thank you, Mandy. It's inspiring. I'm sure that every student is inspiring word. Now, the woman of the Green School, Closer Green School, because of her invitation, I'm here. First time I came in America at Boston. So I'm inviting my favorite, Robin Bachchan.
Thank you. All right, so while we're thinking tech, I do have a postcard to give out to everybody today. I'm going to pass these out so you have a visual. I kept my presentation super short because I wanted to talk to you and the importance of me being here today as the founder and executive director of Project Green Schools is to stand behind students. Many of us have celebrated the work of Greta, and I would like to tell you how we work as an organization. I would also like to thank Narendra for inviting us. What an honor it is to be here to collaborate across the world, not just today, the third conference, for several years, and we have a great partner and collaborator, and great mentors, and that's a very loyal thing. And we look forward to furthering that partnership. So who is Project Green Schools? Project Green Schools has been around for 12 more years. I had a vision board. It was my third and I guess fourth baby. Project Green Schools was a vision of my imagination. I was a lover of nature. I grew up in camps, I grew up in the outdoors, and I was a teacher. And I loved nature, and I loved education. And I never knew there was a field called environmental education. So I taught for more than 20 years. I've been in the field of formal education and informal education. I've helped K-12 students, higher education. I have advised in the White House. I have advised businesses, government, athletic teams, Super Bowl. Again, we're talking, I'm not a sports person, but I have been able to share a very simple, common vision that we all have, which is to have a green and healthy future. And I've been able to help articulate some pretty big spaces. All right, Melissa, we have 3 pictures here, right? So my story, Virendra asked me to tell my story. My story is this. You heard I was a teacher. You know I love nature. But really, before Project Green Schools came to be, I got sick. One of my daughters is here in the room today, and I had a compromised immune system. However, 16 months later, after Haley was born, I had another daughter. And again, growing up with a compromised immune system, my immune system got a boost after Haley was born, and it got shaken up like Mother Earth right now after my second daughter. It's not uncommon for the immune system to get attacked. What we're talking about over and over today is an unhealthy planet. We're talking about sea level rise. We're talking about human health. We're talking about all the inhabitants on our planet. Well, guess what? I'm a living thing like Mother Earth. And so, too much toxicity, too much stress, too much going on, my system was taken down. And you're going to hear a lot of people in the environmental and climate space talk about systems thinking. Well, our bodies are made up of systems. And after that pregnancy, it shook me up. But it turns out that having 3 near-death experiences was what shook me out and turned me into the person I am today. So I created Project Green Schools as my way of giving back environmental education to schools all over, at that time, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, then to New England, then to the United States, and now we're in 45 countries. We are partners with the United Nations Environmental Program, and we're setting up a more significant partnership with the United Nations, as well as others. And we are here to say that we believe, oopsies, there we go. We believe students should be at the tables. We believe students should be at big tables. This is us at the White House, and that was former EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy. We have President Obama's energy advisor on our advisory board. We have other elected officials. We have worked with NOAA, the United Nations, U.S. Department of Education, and I'd just like to know Virendra knows, yesterday was the U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon Schools Awards ceremony. I've been there for about 10 years, and I keep here because this means so much to me. So my board chairs go keep it going in the U.S., but we have to take these conversations farther, and we have to make this work more substantial. So here, we were asked to bring some of the best youth minds to the table to advise the United States Environmental Protection Agency, to advise the United States Environmental DOE, Department of Energy, Department of Agriculture, Fish and Wildlife, Forest Service jobs. These are colleagues of ours. Now we're having a little bit of discrepancies here at the White House right now, but things are happening. The Presidential Environmental Youth Awards are still happening. Green Ribbon Schools, still happening. And by all means, we're still happening. So we're out here agitating and being persistent. So my vision board was to get to the White House. And then I wanted to go back because my work wasn't done, and our students' work wasn't done, and our students weren't at the table. So then we had to get students to other tables. They've been invited to COP21. We determined it wasn't a safe environment to bring students in the middle of a war zone. They've been invited to participate in the Super Bowl. They are representing in their schools, in their communities, in Congress. Our students have very large voices, very articulate voices, and believe me, they're the ones changing policy right alongside. I think we're all seeing that conversation take place, and it's not because it's not because a cute teenager opened her mouth. It's because young people are educated, and young people have a voice, and that voice, how is it not respected while we are all developing new programs, new policies, and new ways of thinking that didn't even exist 20, 30, 40 years ago. So, this is like a niece of mine. She was here for Climate Week in New York, and she marched. And New York City students, it was an excused absence, as it was in Boston, for students to miss school. Why? Because the Department of Education in New York City says, this is important, parents. This is important, teachers. And this is the message we're sending to our young people and our communities. This is an excused absence. Boston did this. Other cities and towns and states are doing the same thing. So you see a happy child, we saw lots of banners and posters today, but it's really important that students are doing this kind of work. Now to me as an educator, this is the beginning of the work. We saw, I wrote down numbers, I'm terrible with numbers and I would never remember this. Over 600,000 marched across the United States, where I'm from. Over 4 million marched across the globe. And an estimated 1.4 million students. I repeat, 1.4 million students from around the world participated in climate strikes. If you don't think that young people care, now is the time to start listening. So while we support the work of Greta, and we support students being out with signs and clever messages, and being a part of community, and being a part of school, and being a part of the next generation, Project Green Schools has actually never been angry. I might be angry, like my husband is sitting in the back, or my children. I'm not angry in my work. You talked about solutions earlier. You want to change policy, you don't go yell at the school committee, you don't go yell at the congressman. You make your case. And so I will say that our process has always been different. We're kind of like the happy, nice, we get along with everybody people, and that strategy has worked for us. There are climate activists that go crazy and make their cases. That might be your strategy. For Project Green Schools, this is what we know. Might there be a better way to do this? Can we involve young people in the process? And how are we all together going to collectively create a healthier world? So I talk about the importance of youth voice, and it's quite obvious that up next I'm going to invite my National Youth Council. However, before I do that, I'd like to show you some solutions that we have created, if I can figure out how to do this. Escape. Oh wait, here we go. Okay. Double click. Not selecting my whole language. Your postcards that you have in your hands are going to come in. So I'm actually not plugging my organization, but when I'm asked to talk about solutions, rather than just telling you all the cool places I've been and are doing, I actually want to show you. Are there people that have an influence in schools or communities in this room? Raise your hand if you influence schools or communities. Okay, so people ask us, what do you have for us? Well, these are tools that we've developed. And this is last year's conference. And our youth council. This is sort of the good stuff that we have for you to use. Number one, and you keep hearing about the SDGs. On your postcard on one side that doesn't have the SDG logo on it, but I don't want this to go to waste, have been updated. You'll see the 13 pathways to greening your school. These have been aligned with the SDGs. So as you click into each goal, say you go into food and agriculture, you can see the alignment. There's further alignment. It shows games. Days to celebrate was something people asked us. When is Earth Day? When is World Water Day? So our pathways align with the SDGs, align with days to celebrate in your school, community, home, place of work. It's not just in the school. We're green schools and we do environmental education. But you can take this concept and align to your schedules, wherever best it works with your club. Again, we work with schools, community groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, etc. The other thing on here, this is a new tool of ours, is our interactive green school. I think this is cool. I finally now get to work with a graphic designer and take things out of my head and put them into something that looks pretty and is understandable. So by all means, we encourage you to click on this. There we go. There has an inside and an outside of the school, and as you click around, up here, I heard people, I know we have solar developers and designers in the room. So again, as you click around the interactive practice of the inside and outside of a green school environment, you'll see alignment, and as at the bottom, we'll also be starting to show other SDGs and how that all works together. The other cool thing on your postcard, you don't really need to go through it too much more. On the back of your postcard is one of Green School's biggest innovations, and it makes me so proud to be able to have students now graduated with honor in our national and international Green School Society. Our students over 10 years ago, frankly, they were angry. So I'm not going to be angry in a board meeting, but our students were like, how come there's no place for us? We are not just turning off lights and recycling. They were doing so much more. They were changing policies. They were out having strikes. They were cleaning up rivers. They're putting solar on roofs. They're starting green businesses. They're designing. They're doing all of it. Yet how the heck do they get recognized in school with honors? So we couldn't call it an honor society in the United States. If you are an honor society, it means you are only in the top 10 percentile of your grade. Now many of our students are, but many of them are not. So we pushed back, and we kept fighting. So National and International Green School Society. Again, we're now working with 45 countries, and we hope to work with you. It's the first year where we sent pins out of International Green School Society. If you're seeing that postcard, you'll see bronze, silver, gold, almost like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Our students in the elementary grades and the early grades start doing volunteering, environmental education, environmental service. By the time you get up to a high school student, they're really doing more in-depth studies. And the student on there with the stole, with the silver band, you can graduate, you have to have a minimum of 200 hours. So we see students that have 200, 300, I believe, is a silver, 400 to 1,000, and our absolute environmental hero rock stars are graduating with a gold level stole, and that means something. And by the way, we had a student a few years back who worked like heck to get a water refill station in her school. But let me tell you, when she walked the stage at her graduation with that honor stole, you know how many eyes were on her? What is that green thing? It's so visible on her. And you know how many people go to a graduation? Thousands. So our one student amongst the crowd wearing that honor stole, and it was denoted right in that graduation page. Everybody saw what she'd done. And she got to actually talk about her project, got picked up by the media, and it was a wonderful success story. We have a lot of success stories. I'd now like to invite one of our favorite success stories, future student president, now our director of our National Youth Council, Melissa Cowell.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. I was a student on the Youth Council, graduated with recognition from Project Green Schools. I had over 500 hours of environmental service during my high school. I am now a senior in college and I go to school in Washington, D.C. and I'm the director of the National Youth Council for Project Green Schools. So the point of the National Youth Council is we give students a seat at the table with government officials, with policy changers, with anyone involved in environmental education. We want students to have these opportunities to talk to these people because the students are the ones that are going to make the change. They are the ones having an impact on our world. They're the future. So basically, they become the feedback loop between these leaders and the next generation. We want them to voice the opinion of the other students. Students are the most important part, so we give these National Youth Council members these opportunities. The National Youth Council, we involve at least 2 students from every state across the country. We cover all 50 states, and we have members that are involved. They are the feedback loop. They talk about their projects, they talk about these other students. They want to get the students involved, and they show their own projects to help other people. These are the most involved environmental leaders among the students in our country, and we have 3 of them with us today. So we want all 3 of them to come up and give a little bit of their spiel and what they have to talk about. So Haley, Johanna, and Caroline, if you guys want to come up and give your speech.
We also traveled to be here, like many of you here today, so thank you for missing school and traveling with us. Hi everyone, my name is Caroline Choi. I live in Alameda, California. Alameda is in the Bay Area. It's a little island off the coast of San Francisco. I'm a senior in high school.
So in 2017, I founded an environmental club at our school called Amplify. And last year, to resolve the problem of plastic packaging that we were seeing in our downtown, my club and I came up with a project, named it Straws of Steel, and decided to sell reusable drink kits. So the kits came with a stainless steel straw and a glass jar. And we were eventually backed with grants from community nonprofits such as Rethink Disposable and Community Action for Sustainable Alameda, or COSTA for short. And we sold over 200 of these kits within 4 days. We sold them to students, community members, and even government officials. Because of this project, we were able to reduce the plastic and the trash in our downtown, and we also installed a new foodware ordinance law. So this foodware ordinance law basically bans all plastic in our entire island, which is super cool. And whenever you go to a restaurant, you'll see those little cards now that say that reusable is the best option. So with my club, we also started doing Bay Trail cleanups. So we banded with all these different elementary schools and middle schools in our area and started cleaning up the Bay Trail. So the Bay Trail, as you can see in this photo right here, is a coastline that is shared with our island's bird estuary as well as the San Francisco Bay. And we held monthly beach cleanups with over 30 community members and students participating. And by circulating that group, we were able to get a lot of media attention and a lot of people to actually care about our beach. And so by April 2019, we had cleared away exactly 99 kilograms of trash. And if you look at that photo over there where it says enough, we started taking this around to the different schools, and that collage at the bottom of that photo is made up of different pieces of trash that we found on our coastline. Super cool. So the other thing that we've been doing in the Bay Area is something that I came up with called CASA Youth. So being fiscally sponsored by CASA, we came up with a coalition of different local schools in our area and decided to work on city level campaigns. So we're super lucky in that our city government was actually able to endorse our project and give us a space to meet in our city hall. And effectively we work as youth representatives to our city council. And we've held sustainability fairs, spoken at city council meetings, even went to climate marches. And this year we were able to get our city council to pass a climate emergency declaration unanimously, which is awesome. And one thing I want to say about this is, before we came up with this system of a coalition of different schools, it seems like all these different schools were working alone, even though we were all living on this same small island. But once we all got together and started sharing ideas, we realized that we all have the same goals for our community, which is sustainability and flooding adaptation and GHG mitigation. So I highly encourage that when you go back to your school, you reach out to the local schools and actually work together to build a more powerful, stronger movement. And finally, on September 20th, we joined San Francisco in organizing a climate strike to take part with all the other cities across America and the globe in the global climate strike. So what we did was we decided to come up with different tiers of engagement because we realized that not every student is going to want to miss class and walk out. Unfortunately, California did not have a state law that allows schools to excuse students for the strike, so a lot of students were saying that they weren't going to go if that meant they would have an unexcused absence. So we made up different tiers, the lowest being the least risk averse, which would be staying in school and participating in a moment of recognition district-wide. And then the last tier was the most risk averse, which would be skipping class and going to San Francisco for the strike. And the way that this helped was that teachers were actually able to help us with this because they weren't then condoning kids walking out of school. So they came up with a teach-in that we worked on with them, and it was district-wide where they held discussions around the climate crisis and showed videos of Greta Thunberg. And 100 students walked out of school from Alameda and went to San Francisco, and as you can see some of them shouting in these photos. We had a banner that said, "We rise like the sea," because as an island, we are extremely susceptible to sea level rise, and by 2050, our island will be underwater. And that's a huge issue for most of us because we want to be able to go back to Alameda after college, maybe live there, maybe have kids, who knows. So our action actually prompted our school district to wake up and draft a climate emergency declaration for themselves. So they'll be passing the climate emergency declaration next month, and that'll be with our help and our suggestions. And so one thing that I've learned working in our community and within the environmental movement is that teachers are actually really supportive of students and their actions, their climate actions. And as one teacher told me, it's because teachers are working with students every day and they're concerned about their futures. And so if you're a student in this room, I highly recommend that you talk to your teachers and don't make them out to be like the villain in this case. Like, not every adult is out to kill the planet, and you can definitely work with them to do stuff. It's also super important, however, to stay consistent with your demands and put pressure on your local politicians to actually do something. And without constant suggestions and aggressive, bold actions, I highly doubt that our city council would be this active in flooding adaptation and sustainable legislature. And again, by mobilizing within these smaller communities, you can come together and create a more powerful, stronger movement.
So, my name is Johanna Reimer. I'm from Sleepy Hollow in western New York, so I had a bit of a shorter trip up here. But when I came into my freshman year, I have been raised in a very, as my friends call it, organic way. So everything's either composted, recycled, or given to the chickens in the backyard. So when I went into high school, I realized that not everyone thought the same way and not everyone was raised the same way as me. So with my school environmental club called SPEAR, we created a goal that by the end of the 2019 to 2020 school year, Sleepy Hollow High School will reduce its waste output by 50%. And we plan on implementing this through composting and getting a dishwasher in the school. But, so there you go. But the thing is, we don't want to stop there. We want to share our ideas with other schools around us. And like you said, like every school is working, and if we can all come together and work together, we can have such a big influence. So where I am at right now is we're having difficulties with getting school support. So through Project Green Schools, I was able to collaborate with fellow students and activists to find the best possible solution for schools. And like you said, I think it's very important that everyone comes together and shares their ideas because so many people are working, and if we put our ideas together, we can have such a much bigger influence.
So I'm Haley Orton. I'm from Plymouth, Massachusetts. I've been the longest standing member of Green Schools, 12 plus years, over 1,000 hours. I think that most of my work with the nonprofit has been working events, fundraisers, helping out at award ceremonies, things of that sort. But I really think that the organization itself has helped me to sort of further my message. For the last 2-3 years, I've been going to Washington, D.C. with the Religious Action Center, and with that group, they provide with a sort of they give us a sort of program which allows us to choose a piece of legislature, and then we get to go to Capitol Hill and speak to senators and representatives to try and get them to push for that. So what I specifically did was I chose the 100 by 50 Act, which is to get 100% renewable energy by 2050, kind of self-explanatory. But basically, that piece of legislature is meant to help pass the Green New Deal, which I'm assuming everyone here is very interested in. So I spoke to more Warren, Markey, Kennedy, and a few other state reps to try and get them to back up my opinion, to try and get them to vote for it. And all of them ended up doing so for the last 2 years, so I'm very happy about that. And this year, my position in the nonprofit is to be the sort of organizer of fundraisers. So right now, I'm planning a fundraiser for the newest program to help us launch it properly so that we can get as much interest as possible.
Okay, so rather than passing out more paper or cards, anybody looking to contact us, you've met Melissa and myself, there's our information, you always go to the website, and then here, that's
Thank
it's on
you.
our computer.
Thank you, student.
That's okay. I didn't know, are you able
So I invite the speaker, Dr. Leo King, creator of our collective, and he will be speaking on nature connected teaching, arts and beauty.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you. I actually have to admit, I do teach a class on public speaking, but I've just been outdone by the 3 youngest, most articulated. I mean, they should teach me how to articulate. I mean, I'm like, I should be taking lessons from you. So if I can perform as half as good as they can, then I'll be very, very thankful for that. I'm also very thankful for my last 2 hosts. They taught me a lot. First of all, don't be angry and be persistent. Because my family and my friends will tell you I have a terrible temper and I'm very, very impatient. So if I gain half of your wisdom and those 2 respect, I'm sure I'll be a much better person. So anyway, I've been giving a talk on nature connecting teaching through art and music. And I'm actually a nuclear physicist. So I'm actually on the opposite side of the creative side. But I'll describe the journey painful journey that I came from the dark side over to the light. Okay? And once you learn how dark I was in the past, you may want to run. Okay? So, that's not me. It's kind of looking at me, but definitely not me. So I'm going to pull up my opening picture again, I'm afraid. So be patient.
You are doing great, your inspiration.
Okay, here we go. Slideshow. All right. So again, thank you very much for this opportunity. So I created this global organization. So I had this vision, this imagination. I did not have the persistence. That's something I need to carry on with. But this global organization, I'll just highlight 4 of our members, the great deeds that they do. I have to admit, I talk a lot. I perhaps don't do as much as I talk. And that's one thing that I need to get off my butt and be more persistent and do more walking than talking. Okay? But with this opportunity to talk, I at least want to highlight some of our members that are doing the great work. Okay? So one of our members is Global Empowerment Movement. They're actually doing a United Nations event right now. So DLR, UN NGO, so they cover a lot on women's issues, especially in Africa. Okay, so I'm not going to go into details of the website there, but search them out. They do incredible, absolutely incredible work. Museum and Future Foundation, which you read on my sign, it says Brazil. That Brazil comes from Museum and Future Foundation. I actually live in Hoboken, across the Hudson, so I'm not quite that far. You know, but same time zone as Brazil, so I guess that can count. But anyway, she's dedicated to building a peace museum in the Golan Heights, where there's huge conflict. You know, some said all our problems are from the Middle East area, but she's trying to put together a peace campaign to build a peace center in that troubled area. Okay, and I'm blessed to be a US representative. HQ is based in Brazil, so, but again, check out the website. And our members are very prominent Jordanian journalists. Asker Foundation, so her dedication is to help the refugee crisis in Syria. Well, actually, they're in Jordan, but in fact, there's more Syrian refugees in Jordan than there are actually Jordanian. I mean, it's shameful. But even more shameful is this. Well, this organization isn't shameful, but what they're trying to do is shameful. They're trying to tackle anti-child slave trafficking. Do you know that the United Nations estimate, depending on which estimate you take, range from 30 to 60 million slaves in our modern time? There are more people in slavery now than at any time in our history. Okay? Any time in our history. So we think of slavery as back in the 1700, 1800, but there's actually more slavery now than there ever has been. Okay? And that's a very, very sad indictment on humanity. Okay? And this gentleman has literally taken a bullet to his head. Seriously. If it wasn't for a Kevlar helmet that he was wearing, he would be dead now. So that's what I'm saying about our organization. Many of these are actually doing the Great War. I'm safe and comfortable in my apartment in Hoboken. My members are out there taking bullets to save people's lives. Okay? They put me to shame. Absolutely. So, all right, so our collective. All right, so you have a lot of prominent members. What do I do? Okay, well, like I said to you, I'm a scientist. I'm the first speaker today put up a sign. Third slide thing says science and mathematics. Okay, so that's what I bring forth in my campaign, and I call it the Holy Trinity. And you'll find out why it's called the Holy Trinity. So my organization, our collective, is a trinity of activists like yourself, artisans like me, and artists. There's many artists around here as well. So it's a holistic. Okay, the problem with a lot of our society, like most of my friends work in Wall Street. I tell my friends, I tell my relatives, that is about the most evil place, corrupt place on society, okay? But they're not corrupt. These are my family members. These are my friends, okay? I spent 30 years in corporate America and in Britain, okay? It is not the people that are bad, it is the system that is bad. And we have to change the system. And part of the system that is bad is it's disjointed. Everyone's doing their own thing. I am. I don't want to say it, but I am a hypocrite, okay? I realize that now. Therefore, for us to get together, we have to operate in a holistic fashion. We have to combine the activists, we have to combine the artisans, and we have to combine the artists together. Okay? So I developed a holistic operating model that combines these three facets, main facets of humanity, and from that, it is all combined into enlightenment, the spirituality side of it, education, which is where I come from, okay? The economics, absolutely, all right? There's nothing dirty about making money, absolutely. We need money to do things, all right? Money is not just like guns. Guns and money is not the problem. It's the person wielding the gun and wielding the wallet that is the problem or not the problem, okay? And even entertainment, which is the part that I'm going to cover more in the art and science side. But this holistic Holy Trinity extends beyond just our planet. We are all interconnected within this universe. Whether you're a human being, whether you're the entire world, or whether you're an organization, everything is interconnected within this Holy Trinity, okay? Through the mind, the body, and the soul. The mind, body, and soul isn't just the individual. It's the entire planet. It's the entire universe. Okay? And each part of that has to be holistically welded together in this matrix, movie, the matrix, okay? If we have any disjointed part in that, we are unhealthy, just like in the yin and yang philosophy, Eastern philosophy. We have to be balanced between the light and the dark, okay? So just to give you an example, last year I took a delegation, an international delegation to Nigeria. So one of the countries that we're trying to expand into and help is Africa. As I mentioned to you, Queen Blessing Ituwe, the founder of Global Empowerment, she's Nigerian. So I went with her. So just to give you an example of the holistic, we tried to marry the media, business, and the charity. These are the three holistic approach. So instead of one doing their own thing, get all three together. So on the business side, I went to visit the government investment. They want investment to come in. Nigeria is actually a very, very prosperous nation. It is the youngest nation. I think the average age is around 37 to 37. It is a very, very young nation. It has great resources. But through a lot of issues, I want to cover them, corruption, colonialism, etc., is rather unstable. I mean, everyone here knows about Boko Haram, right? The terrorism that kidnapped all those children. Okay? The reason why they came in is because of economic collapse. Nigeria used to be an extremely agriculturally rich nation. It was self-subsistent. It grew its own food, it could sustain itself. But the civil war of the 80s collapsed the system. The imperialism collapsed the system. Imperialism is still enslaving them. Okay? So you have to break away from that. So I tried to develop this program. In this case, I visit NNPC, which they don't know, are the 6th largest oil producer in the world. Okay? But I'm discussing them about alternative energy. I'm discussing with them about investing in medical health for the people. Okay? Again, business is not the evil thing, it's the system that's corrupt. Okay? And you have to give them a means to utilize that in a much more better way for themselves and for their planet. Okay? On the charity side, I was blessed our organization was given a humanitarian award by the First Lady of Nigeria, Asha Buhari. So that's an example of how we take the holistic approach of combining art, business, and charity, and doing it all in one. So we are making money, but we're making it for a good reason. That is the point. Okay? We're not just making money for money's sake, so we can just buy flashy cars, put it on our bed, and do nasty things. Okay? So along with the Holy Trinity, so where are you going with this? Alright, so you're talking a lot, but what are you going to do ultimately? Okay? Ultimately, my goal, hopefully I have the persistence, and hopefully I can control my anger. I'm going to create a new world. Or I'm not going to create a new world. Those 3 girls that came up here, they're going to create the new world. And I'm so impressed that they're so articulate, far more articulate than I am. Okay? This is your new world. I'm probably the oldest guy in this room. Okay? Luckily, plastic surgery sort of get the ages away. I don't do plastic surgery, right? That's a joke. But, alright? But that's your new world. New governance. You know the systems here, so corrupt. Okay? I don't think I need to tell anyone here. Okay? So I'll give you some mottos of these new phases. Okay? So for the new government, we the people, for the people. Okay? It's in our constitution. But regrettably, some of our leaders is forgetting that. Okay? We need the young voices to remind them, to kick them up the butt. Old people like me. Hey, remember what the Constitution is, okay? We the people, for the people. Now, where I come is, I'm a scientist, I'm a mathematician, I'm a nuclear physicist. I have developed new science, I have developed new mathematics, not just for the sake of knowledge sake, okay? I believe genuinely this knowledge will allow humanity to explore the outer stars and the inner spirit, okay? So in the new mathematics, my motto is, love can blind, logic cannot. In the new science, facts are in the numbers, meanings are in the words, okay? And believe it or not, it also led me ultimately to a new religion. Society is blaming a lot of the conflict on God, on religion, okay? Let me tell you very, very clearly, okay? God do not murder, God do not rape, God do not steal, okay? It is predominantly men that rape, it is predominantly men that murder, it's predominantly men that steal, okay? Women will take over this world, okay? That's my ultimate belief, seriously. It has to, okay? We men are not going to be got it, we have our uses, of course, okay? But in this religion I bring, it is a fact-based religion, it is not a faith-based. I am going to prove to you, I'm going to prove to the world that there exists a God. I'm going to explain to you why there is still room for a God. Even a nuclear physicist up here will tell you why there is a need for God. So on the art side, it all started 2015, the United Nations event. Teresa Natley, the founder of Museum Fuji Foundation, who wanted to try to build a peace center in the Golan Heights and stop the killing in the Middle East. Okay, so she told me about her crazy plan. I looked at her and said, you're crazy, but I love it. Let's do something together. So we put together this art exhibition. I invited a lot of my artist friends, so even though I have 2 left hands and 2 left feet, I do actually have a lot of friends who are very, very talented and artistic. Okay? So I need to be bored to death with my talking science and math, so instead we put something beautiful, an art exhibition to highlight world peace. Okay? Right, so this is how our collective started in 2015. And I carry on with my creativity. I also produced a show, musical show, stage play, and this is one that I produced in Carnegie Hall. Okay? So as Shakespeare eloquently phrased, if music be the fruit of love, play on. Okay? So even though I'm not creative, I know just how important art and creativity is. Okay? I am wise enough, clever enough to realize that that is an essential part of human living, human society. So, I have to be truthful to you, okay? I come from the very, very dark side, I mentioned that, okay? I was anti-spiritual, I was anti-God. I'm a scientist. I went into science thinking science would explain anything. We don't need spirituality, we don't need God. Anyone is in spiritual, anyone's God is a bunch of losers. That was my viewpoint, okay? I was anti-nature, absolutely. Every time we bought a new apartment, bought a new house, the first thing I did was go to the garden, kill all the grass, and paved it with concrete. That was me, okay? I was anti-everything. I was everything you all oppose, okay? Absolutely. I make no bones about that. I came from the establishment. I am the establishment. I was part of the establishment for 30 years of my life. I was like Moses in the wilderness for 40 years. So science, whatever technology, took me to that wilderness. But it took me for a reason. But eventually, I had an awakening moment. And this was an awakening moment. I went to visit with friends of mine, do a documentary on the Hopi Nation in Arizona. As you know, probably a lot of you know, the Native Indians are suffering greatly. Not just in America, in Australia, everywhere, okay? And not just the historical discriminated part where they were butchered, enslaved, and brainwashed. Every Aboriginal society has been gone through that, whether it's Brazil, Australia, not just the USA, okay? There are 4 Masons, 4 villages up in Arizona. There were 4 Masons for the Hopi Nation. There used to be thousands of natives. So I was driving there with the guy. He said, look at this. This is the mason on the hilltop. And I said, great. That looks beautiful. But how many people live in that village? Oh, 200. What? Oh, there used to be thousands there. But now it's 200. I said, why? Because the alcoholism, they don't have employment, they don't have opportunity. Anyway, he took me to Prophecy Rock. On Prophecy Rock was dictated the prophecy of humanity. So in front of there we laid 4 feathers, one of each tribe. As we decided to take a picture of the feathers, a wind came in and blew all the feathers in line with the prophecy. There's 2 prophecies. One of humanity, which I was the fast track, greed, take everything down and screw the future. That led to utter extinction. The other prophecy took man at steady pace, one with nature, be calm, be persistent, and humanity will evolve. That 4 feathers lined up with that prophecy. So from there, I was awakened. And I used my science to good. So all the new mathematics, all the new science, all the new governments, all the new everything is contained in this book of mine. So I'm still commercial. I'm plugging my book. It's simply called God. So even though it contains new mathematics, new science, it is called God. You can get this on Amazon. Or you can email me and I'll send you a free copy. Not a problem. Okay? So anyway, there's a spiritual leader, there's a sacred chant on Shaman Cave in Arizona. You get a chance, go there. It's very sacred, it's very beautiful. And it's an experience worth life. This is our guide. He's one of the chief leaders. He's still the world. So he's trying to build economy within the village. So instead of those thousands going to hundreds because they're dying, because they're leaving the village, but they have no dreams, they have no vision, they have no imagination. They're trying to put together a cottage industry for themselves. So that's why now seeing a vision, I want to be part of that. I want to help them with their art, with their creativity, to give them a sustainable. So that village is the village I want to build for the rest of the planet Earth, okay? With my anger, with my impatientness, okay? But hopefully if I can team with great leaders like these, who have the system, who has great calmness, and great voices when young people like that, then you know what, I can conquer the world, okay? So, you can find anything you want about me or not at these various links, okay? So thank you very much and bless you all.